for this chapter, you and me, girl, we've been down together. What can be yours, baby, it's whatever.
Welcome back, ladies.
Hello.
So I'm gonna let the panel introduce themselves and then we'll get started right away.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tanny.
Hi, Tanny.
Hello everyone, I'm Tina.
Hi, Tina. Before we get started, we just want to take a moment of silence for one of our panel members who lost a family member this past week. L Fox is out. We want you to know, girl, we are praying for you and your family has our condolences. Okay, so we got a big hergasm this week or today for today's show. We are talking about soul ties. Now, if you've never had a soul tie and you don't know what a soul tie is, it's gonna get real. So that's our hergasm. Soul tie is a struggle to remove toxic relationships, friendships, and coworkerships for women. Because soul ties is more than just sexual. And we'll talk about that later. So first, before we get started, let's do promos on the table. So since I'm gonna be the only one, I'm gonna represent for myself. Let me start with my book. It's called A Hot Summer. It is a queen novel. It is urban erotica. We have hit just a little bit over 300 sales. I'm a first-time author. Thank you. I'd like for you guys to check us out. There is a free try before you buy on our Facebook page, which is Novels by Queen. Novels by Queen. You can go on there, get yourself a copy. If for some reason you have already read this book, please go to Amazon, and that's where you can purchase it as well, and write a review. I need your reviews, please. Give us 5 stars if you love it. If you don't, be honest, let me know, because right now I'm working on a sequel called Revenge, and it is due to release this summer. So yay for me.
Yes.
Thank you. Also, we are looking for guest hosts on this show, the Orgasmic Women Show. So if you're interested in potentially, I got rubber mouth, potentially coming on to be a guest host to see if you're a great fit, let us know. You can email us at theorgasmicwomenshow@gmail.com, and we'll get you in here and see if we have some chemistry and how that goes. So with that being said, we're gonna move right to our next segment, which is Win Spotlight. Now you ask, what is Win Spotlight? Win is a Facebook group that we have. It is Women Entrepreneurs Network. And basically it is just a group for women that have their own businesses, and we're really trying to give resources and get businesses off the ground. So what we do is we go into the group, and people that's really active, because we all know that you really can't promote a business if you're not active in a group. If you're just in there being dormant, it doesn't really work for you. So we try to keep this group active. We pick one business that's been really active, and we want to highlight that business. So this week's business is Lee D. Kathy, or Kathy D. Lee, and her business is God Morning Mugs and More. So congratulations, Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
I have been watching her. She does mugs and custom-made gifts with themes and designs, and spiritual mugs, keepsakes, and gift baskets. You can reach her at 414-336-0944. Again, that's God Morning Mugs and More. And then you can also email if you are not into the whole calling thing, godmorningmugsandmore@yahoo.com. So Kathy, we see you. Continue to do everything you can to get your business off the ground. We are rooting for you.
Yay.
All right, so let's move to our Dear O Women segment. That's our segment where we get letters from you. So if you're watching, please send us some letters. We love letters. You're gonna write us a letter you can send it by email, The London Brown Show, or that's my other business. Pause that. The Orgasmic Women Show @gmail.com. Or you can inbox us directly on Facebook and sign it with whatever name you want us to respond. We will keep it anonymous for you. So the letter today comes from Chocolate Dreams. And it says, Dear O Women, how important is it to fulfill your man's fantasy? Also, when is the proper time? Is it while dating, maybe to get it out of his system, or after marriage? Where is the bond supposedly unbreakable in a sense of you have more liberty to be free and comfortable since it's someone you trust. So sum it up, when can you let loose? Ladies, what y'all got for that?
Well, when I first read this, I asked the question, are we talking about sexually? Are we talking about, like, in what sense to let loose? Because although I think we all assume it means sexually, it can also mean, you know, being free in other areas. In other areas too. Maybe a man has a fantasy that, you know, the house is going to be cleaned every day and they have a home cooked meal. I mean, who knows exactly what that fantasy might be, but we're going to go ahead, I think, and assume that sexually as, yeah. So, with that, I think when you're dating with someone, I think oftentimes we get too caught up in letting too much of us out and loose, and we don't reap any benefits of doing so. Whether you are the main chick, the side chick, 1 or 2 or 3, sometimes we do too much too soon. So I think, you know, when you're in that stage of it being a serious relationship, when you are on the road to marriage, sometimes it's okay to throw in some things here and there. You don't want to give them too much though, or give them everything. You got to always keep them wanting more. So just be careful how and what and when you do it.
I agree. You want to add anything to it?
She summed it up.
She did. I'm gonna say this though. Don't start what you can't finish. Because if you start giving him that, he's gonna expect it.
Yep.
So whatever fantasy you fulfill, just know that a fantasy is not something that's gonna only be fulfilled once. If you give it to him once, he's gonna want it again.
Yep. And again.
And again. Doesn't matter what he say, he will want it.
But there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
I think to keep the spark in your relationship, that's a good thing. Always, just like she said, don't give it to him all the time, but just give it to him on a special occasion when he least expect it.
Yep.
That's when you do it. That keeps him going right there, because he really don't know when you're gonna do something. He always gonna be on his toes.
Right. And then if you do it too soon though in the relationship, you know, you might
You can run him away.
you can either run him away, or he may think you're too easy
Right.
to deal with, and he don't want to keep you around. You know what I mean? And find somebody else. So you just have to be careful. I think you have to gauge. You have to know who you are as a person first, and then you also have to kind of get to know who that man is as well, to know if it's a serious relationship, if he's, you know, really checking for you, or, you know, is this something where, you know, like I said, you just are the person on the side and he has no intent with you. So I think it just depends on what you want out of the relationship and where you think it's going and how you feel about things, and then you can figure out how freaky you want to be or not.
True.
I'm just telling you, if you give it to him too soon, he's already, his milk has already been given.
Right.
You ever heard the whole spiel, don't buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
Correct.
So if you already give it to him, he don't need it.
Right.
So yeah, we need to just, you know, at the end of the day, whenever you feel comfortable doing it, but I would just be careful with that. Let's move right on to politics. So you guys all know with politics, we have got to talk about the president because he never lets us down. He is always something to truly talk about. So according to CNN, I feel like awkward saying President Donald Trump. It's just really awkward for me because I just can't see him as a president. He doesn't really act very presidential, so. But I'll verbatim it. President Donald Trump stopped in El Paso, Texas on Monday night to highlight the need for the border wall. By the way, he has declared the border wall a national emergency. I'm just gonna let that sink in right now. There are so many other things happening in the world, and you declared a wall that people can climb over as a national emergency. Good job, press. Basically, and he's beginning his re-election campaign for 2020.
He's never.
I'm just letting that sink in.
I don't even want to talk about that. I'm like, he's never even stopped campaigning for the current presidency.
Exactly.
So, okay, whatever.
I have never, you know, one thing I want to say, and there's so much more here that I can read that I actually captured from CNN to kind of talk about it, and I will just kind of go through it. But if this had been, and I usually, well, I'm just gonna make it about what it is, because if this had been a black president saying the things and doing the things that this president's doing, they would have tried to have his head served on a platter. This president has no type of presidential anything about himself. Obama was expected to carry himself a certain way, speak a certain way, act a certain way.
And
Michelle,
it wasn't just Obama. I mean, I think every president up until this current president has been expected to act a certain way.
absolutely.
You know, they have had, it's a certain presidential way that you should be, or demeanor that we've gotten used to, but Trump has just come in and just been wilding out.
Doing whatever he wants to do. And I would have to ask you, you know, why is that? You know why? Because there has never been a president that has brought out so much hatred and racism in the country since I've been alive. He is really, it's always been there, but he has really magnified it. And it's just like everybody's okay with it, you know? So I will tell you this, while we're being angry with him, this president is doing everything he said he would do. Everything he said in his campaign, he is holding to it. And he will not stop with this wall, because this wall was a major landmark of his running campaign.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons it's so important, because that's the only thing he hasn't done.
Yep.
So, you know, I just want you to be mindful. And I know people say it's because people didn't vote. No, listen. The way voting works is, it's not even the people that chooses the president, it's the electoral college. So you have to get the correct people in those seats in order to bring the president forward. So it's not just a presidential election that you need to be voting for. There are so many other primaries that you need to participate in to make sure the right people are in the seats. We don't need a president that's gonna sit on Twitter or piss off North Korea. That man is just unstable as our president. Leave the guy alone. No one wants to go to war. So, you know, it's sad, but we're seeing more and more. And this is not, okay, listen, while we're doing this, I'm gonna wrap this into tea time, right? I'm gonna throw something in tea time that was not in tea time, but I feel like it's really imperative. This was not our tea time for today, but it's gonna combine with politics real quick. Okay. Did anybody see the incident with Jesse?
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole world seen it.
Did the president get on there and say, I don't see Black Hollywood saying anything or rallying for Jesse anymore? Like, why are you even president? Why are you even concerned with that?
Trump is very concerned about everything that he don't need to be concerned about.
But running the world. Like, how do you have time for that?
So, right, he has time for everything. He's the most pettiest person.
He has time
He is the
for
most pettiest
petty.
person. Him and Kermit need to be right next to each other. They're most petty.
Does he not have a publicist or something? Aren't they supposed to have a publicist?
I'm sure he does, but I don't
It's not working for him?
Yeah. I'm sure whoever it is probably stressed out. They probably didn't quit too, like along with everybody else. Because nobody has time for that. Like, can you imagine even just controlling his Twitter account? Like, who has time
First
for
of
that?
all, your publicist should tell you to deactivate your Twitter.
Right, and he refuses to, but someone did.
Oh, I'll be like, every time I read a tweet from him, and I'll just be like,
cringe.
oh, I can't believe this is our president. You know, when you're a president, there is a certain aura you're supposed to have about yourself. You're not supposed to have time to deal with this petty business, because you have to run the world. So you're supposed to represent everybody, every race, everything. So that's one of the things when people say, well, Obama didn't do anything for the Black people. Obama was the president. His job is to take care of all people. And that is what we want as a president. You see what happened now when we have a president that only focuses on one race. There you go. All right, so let's move to our real tea time, what I have. Cardi B, congratulations, girl.
Yes.
So Cardi, AKA my cousin, she won a Grammy, but you know, where it's smoke is usually fire. She won a Grammy, and then it was a big spiel because, of course, people got on there and they were talking about she didn't deserve it, she didn't write her own raps. So she got pissed off, she's completely spazzed out, and then she deactivated her Instagram account, which is reactivated by now. But basically, when the whole thing happened, Nicki Minaj was scheduled to perform on BET. And I'm gonna read this kinda verbatim. Well, nah, I'm gonna blank it out because there is plenty of curse words in here, okay? So she got on Instagram and she said, "It's not my style for people to put other people down to uplift somebody else." And BET said that Nicki Minaj was somewhere being dragged by her lace front. She said, "However, I've been taking a lot of SHIT today. I'm seeing a lot of bull SHIT today, and I saw a lot of SHIT last night, and I'm sick of the SHIT, so that's like 3 or 4 SHITs. She said, "I worked hard for my mother effing album." And then she went black or deactivated her account. Now the whole spiel with them getting on there saying Nicki Minaj is somewhere being dragged by her lace front, and I'm not laughing because this, okay, so I'm laughing because they petty, but it's not funny, it's not a laughing matter. Like, you are encouraging 2 strong women to be against each other. You know, like I said, where smoke is fire. You know that they have already drama beef. Why would you do that? And then BET sent out an apology, but I just feel like at this point, you guys should know better. You guys should know who you have in your seats writing. What type of, I guess, quality does your social media post? I mean, I had a small business, and mine, before they post, those posts were pinned, because you can set it up like that for me to read, approve, and then let it go live. What do you guys think?
Well, I guess, I'm sorry, you reap what you sow. So for Cardi, no, it is. You reap what you sow. I'm not saying that BET was right, because I agree. They are a national network. They represent all artists. They represent everybody. So they should already know not to be petty towards anyone else. You know what I mean? They have to remember where they get their bread and butter from too, okay? However, Cardi, let's not forget that you were not just fighting somebody. You're trying to fight and throwing your shoes and stuff off. So you cannot be mad now when somebody else brings it up. Like, you cannot be mad.
Yeah, but you don't kind of don't. I mean, like, I get it. Listen, she got an award.
Everybody has a past.
They do.
So I mean, for her to get so angry and so upset, like, I mean, it's okay. I think it's good that she responded to it in a positive way towards Nicki, saying, you know, she doesn't want to, like, her success to tear down another person. She didn't say who, but we know what she meant.
Yeah.
So I think that was good, but then, you know, all of the cursing, all of the I'm gonna be dramatic now and throw a fit and delete my account, like, we didn't need all of that. All you had to say
she
was
would leave my cousin alone.
I'm just keeping it real. I like Cardi, but at the end of the day, I'm like, you know where it's coming from. You know why people are saying this. You were caught up into it because of you. That's why people are saying it. So now you can't be mad. Thank you for, you know, responding and making a statement and keeping it real and saying, you know, you don't agree with it, and then move forward. That's it.
You know, I think, Cardi, you make too much money to respond. Listen, I have
that too.
I have this thing I say. I don't argue or fight nobody not in my tax bracket. So that eliminates a whole lot of drama for me. Because I'm not going to fight you or argue with you. You don't even make no money. Like, you have nothing to lose, ma'am. I do. I'm not going to sit there and argue and fight with you. And Cardi, you have triple, probably quadruple what I have. So you don't have time to be doing that anymore. That's not your arena. As you elevate, you have to operate in your elevation. So you just got to let, people are going to always get on. I mean, T.I.'s sister, I don't know how I forgot this. T.I.'s sister Precious just passed away a couple days ago. And people who are in his comments being so utterly disrespectful. I'm like, this man just lost his sister who was with him every day. Every day. Helping him raise his kids, everything. How could you be so insensitive? But you know, people are just insensitive. So you just gotta really know.
Oh, these internet trolls are a hot mess.
I'm wondering if people get paid to do that.
I wonder too. I mean, that's not it wouldn't surprise me because I don't know how someone could be that cold.
Yeah, that's
I mean, even if you
insensitive.
read any comments on anything, there's always somebody out there that got something stupid to say or something insensitive to say. And I wonder if these people really are they that dark, you know what I mean, and are that unhappy with themselves.
They are.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you too, Tina. I think some of them are. Some of them, I think they're truly genuine, but some of these, I'm like, really seriously, especially when someone dies or passes away. It doesn't matter, you know, what else is going on. You want to, you know, usually extend your sympathy or keep your mouth shut.
Period. End of story. So yeah, I don't know how, that wasn't on our tea time for today, but I do want to extend our condolences to T.I. and his family on the loss of his sister. I know it was very emotional for him. It's just been, it's like every time I look around, death is rearing its head. I have had more reports of deaths in the last 2 weeks than I probably had in my whole life. So, you know, to anybody that's lost someone out there, I know, you know, we can never, an old friend of mine lost her son not too long ago. Her sons were driving, one of her sons was 17, the other one was 16. He was driving somehow, he ran stop signs, he crashed into a bus, and he killed his brother. So, you know, not only is she dealing with death, but they've now arrested that son. So there's like, you don't have time to grieve or cope when until, you know, something else has already happened. So our condolences to her and her family.
And also our condolences to our other panelist, Fiosha. Her friend lost her mother. So condolences to you also.
Absolutely. It's like so many, absolutely. Her best friend, so, you know, when it's your best friend, their mom is like your mom. You know, so she lost her mother this past weekend. So our condolences, of course, like Tina said, to that family as well. It's just a very sad time right now. It's just a very sad time. All right, so we're gonna get started with our Hergasm for today, and I'll remind you what it is. It's soul ties. The struggle to remove toxic relationships, friendships, and coworkerships for women. This is very, very personal for me. I actually did a show on this on my podcast, which is called The London Brown Show. So if you go and listen for that podcast, you'll see that this has been done before, and that's because this is so important. So we're gonna get started on that. Let's start talking about what a soul tie is. So people kind of talk about soul ties, but there are so many people that don't even know they exist. A soul tie is considered like a linkage in the soul realm or the spiritual realm between two people. If it links their soul together, which can bring forth both beneficial results or negative results. One of the negative effects of soul ties is it being so common for a person to still have feelings towards an ex-lover that they should not be attracted to in that way. Even like 20 years down the road, you'll still kind of, you know, feel yourself attracting or missing that ex. That's because it's a soul tie, and they can be across the country. Ladies, have you ever heard of soul ties at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You've seen them?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
They're real. I think, you know, their soul ties, it's like a deeper connection that you have with someone. And, you know, even like the example you just brought up of, like the example of having someone that you dated a long time ago and you're no longer together, but that person still cares about them or still thinks about them, or who knows, if they're a creeper, they may still reach out to them.
Creeper.
Or something. You know what I mean? But I think it's just because you have, even though you may have gone through, who knows how the breakup was, it could have been a bad breakup, it could have been a bad situation. You take a piece of you, everyone that you interact with, you kind of have a piece of them with you. And I think it's hard to kind of just let that go, especially if you're in a deep-rooted relationship. I know you talked about also like work relationships, same thing. Like we all know that we go to work, You know, you don't think or put into relation your work relationships the same as like your relationship with your family or your friends, but you spend usually more time with the people you work with than you do with like your own family and friends sometimes, unfortunately, but that's true. And so just day in and day out working through things, going through certain experiences, you do have those connections. That there may not be, you know, love connections obviously or things like that, but you still have that type of relationship connection with the people that you work with. So most definitely.
I think it was very, very important what you said, because when people think of soul ties, the first thing they think of is sexual all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is not sexual all the time. I'm just gonna tell you, for myself, I have had some very toxic friendships. Hence why I am like I am in my friendships. It's almost like being in a relationship. When you're in a bad relationship for so long, when you get in a good relationship, it's really hard to adjust. Because when that one person does something that you, even shows traits that resemble old bad habits or bad relationships you've already developed from, you try to stay away from it. And you just start to cut people off. And then you find yourself in solitude. And then somehow you learn to start to adjust to the solitude and think it's normal, you know?
They do. It's true.
Listen, first step is admitting. I already know I have a problem. But you know, it's because people think, I mean, like, friendships will drain the life out of you. You know, people will drain, I always say energy is so important. People will drain the energy from you, and you wonder why you always feeling sad and depressed when you're not that type of person. It's because someone else has literally drained you. And that's just very toxic. I remember back in the day, I had a really good friend, and I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. It was always like fighting, and I had started to elevate above that, because I just believe at some point in life, you're too old to be out there fighting. Like, my daughter is 21 years old. Ma'am, my ankles hurt. I went to New York with them. I must have danced the whole night. I'm still putting Bengay on my knees from that day. Like, my time is over, you know?
No, it is not.
To be fighting, it is.
You gotta reclaim your time.
Child, listen, you can have that title, because and especially if it's cold. I don't want to fight you in the cold. I don't like cold weather. So let's talk about 3 reasons, although there are many more, that soul ties can be developed. 1, people are misinformed and therefore convinced that sex is strictly a single-dimensional physical act with no emotional or spiritual connections. Yet, after sex, they find themselves mysteriously longing for the person that they may not even really like. You ever slept with somebody and you're like, ugh, I don't really like them, but then you be thinking about them all the time? No?
Yeah.
You had no good? No good?
Yeah, I had some good, but I don't think about
You ain't think about it?
I don't think, girl, it's not been that good.
I thought, girl, child, I had a one-night stand before. I swear, I thought about that boy for so long. I don't even remember his name to this day, actually. I'm just kidding. Just in case you watching, husband, here's some grass.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, number 2. A person, usually the woman, unfortunately, why? Because we're the nurturers of the earth, gives him or herself sexually to someone expecting that they may intensely be intimate or active intercourse. So they have sex, that they're going to create this bond, and that's going to lead to deeper levels of commitment in their relationship. Hence, we're just friends, says the guy.
Yeah.
The woman says, okay, I understand.
But now let me give you something, because I'm going to make you be my man.
Period. And what happens is, you didn't make them be anything. You've given them some.
You didn't turn into a stalker.
You busting out windows. You going up to the school, slashing tires, going to school, picking up his kid without permission. Like,
Yeah, you didn't lost your mind.
right.
What is it? Just
Keep
people
calling.
say you're digmatized.
Right. You keep calling, you texting, you didn't send him 16 texts and something.
Right, no,
He's
like
still on
more like
number 1.
116. You know when they real into it.
They be like spazzing out. So what happens is she soon discovers that her sexual partner was taking advantage of her need for intimacy and used her for vulnerability. So of course this leads to a person being emotionally and spiritually bonded to someone that they deeply resent. But I'm gonna tell you, there is nothing more dangerous than a woman scorned.
Nope, that's why all that stuff start happening.
That is like the women are looking for something, and I always tell men anyway, what type of man are you to tell a woman we're just friends, but you want to sleep with her? How stupid could you be? Like, little boys should do that, but men, you should understand by now how women operate. No such thing.
Right, because
No
we
such thing.
operate with our emotions, men operate physically.
Mhm.
So they're going after what they want, but they forget about that emotional part. So none of them should be upset when you come out and your tires are gone. Just saying.
Listen, I'm just gonna tell you, when it comes to me, I'm not slashing your tires.
Me neither.
I'm
Okay.
leaving all 4 on bricks.
She reselling your tires and making
So
a
I'm
profit.
gonna offer
Don't play with me, okay? Don't play with my emotions. Listen, it's so funny because I always, when I tell my husband something like that, he always be laughing like, girl, you crazy, stop playing.
And you like, no, I ain't playing.
I'm gonna just let that sit. Here's some grass. I'm gonna just let that sit right, because I'm gonna stop saying stuff like that in case I have to really do
Look
something
at
to
you.
him. Because you know what? People be putting stuff on Facebook and social media, and then when they get locked up, the judge be pulling it out. So just in case. Number 3, 2 people commit to marriage and therefore surmise that the covenant vows are only a formality. So they say, okay, I'm getting married. This is just something that they do. Actually, so they live together, they enjoy a sexual relationship outside of the lifelong commitment, but later they decide for whatever reason that they don't want to live in a covenant relationship and eventually break up. They usually don't realize how deeply they have wounded each other as their souls are ripped apart, tearing the very fabric of their being in a separation. So basically what that's saying is, you're married, you're with somebody, you guys have sex every day, you travel together, you love each other, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you go apart. And this is one of the reasons why people always say you need to take time for yourself to heal. Because when you don't, you leave with emotional baggage.
Right, you leave with that emotional baggage, and yeah, then you screw up somebody else's life because they thinking, oh look, this person, they so wonderful, they're so nice, and then you got all that baggage and you just screwed them over.
So you better be really cautious with that, because you're not even into him. You ain't even over John.
Right, you're just replacing John or whoever with them.
Yeah.
They
so-
don't know that.
No, they don't. So you want to, be real mindful. You want to answer that, Tina? No?
No. You guys are doing wonderful.
Oh, well.
Oh, he's a Monday show.
Okay, well, thank you, Tina. Okay. So, sexual relationships. So, people who have had many past relationships, they find it very difficult to bond or be joined together. Primarily men, and that's because their souls are fragmented. Literally, every time a man enters a woman, he leaves a part of himself. So, if he enters several different women, he wonders why it's so hard. I can't have a serious show and then I'm just joking.
Tina, don't be acting like what she's saying ain't true. Keep it moving.
It's true. So they find that it's difficult to fall in love. Some people be like, well, he can't fall in love because he a hoe. Well,
That's true though. It's true because he got all these different pieces. He can't. He's not whole. He's fragmented.
So
And then nobody else want him either. Once he become a hoe, we don't want you no more.
he's used
All men
fragment.
was hoes once upon a time. Let's keep it real.
He was fragmented.
Even
I'm
women
not-
was hoes once upon a time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Your man was a hoe. My man was a hoe. We was hoes.
I wasn't no hoe.
Yeah.
Now, hold
I
on.
mean, you gave yourself to other people and you
Okay.
really wasn't.
Here's some grass.
Look at me. You are.
No.
We're not moving on the show.
So, I mean, with that being said, he can get serious. It could be that special one that turns his life around from what his past was. So,
Or it could be that woman that left him on bricks and he
Exactly.
learned that he was
Exactly.
not, they were not
Right.
playing. Somebody, by the way, started a watch party so more people can join in and watch
I was
us.
going to.
Yeah, start a watch party.
I wasn't sure. I've been sharing and doing all types of stuff.
Oh, okay. All right, side note. Okay, so let's talk about close relationships, right? Because remember I told you soul ties is not all about sexual, but people assume they are. No, close relationships can form soul ties. So you want to be really cautious when you call your best friend. Vows, commitments, and agreements. Vows are known to bind the soul, which comes from Numbers 30 and 2. For people like, what is Numbers? That comes from the King James Version of the Bible. Okay. Marriage itself consists of vows and binds the two people. So I just wanted to throw that in here. But close relationships, real quick, When you spend so much time with people and you're with them and you're doing things with them constantly, and you're going out to eat and all this extraness, literally you gotta be so cautious because it starts to form a soul tie. And if that friendship is toxic for you, it's very hard to get out. Sometimes you can't even tell it's toxic. You literally don't even know.
No, it becomes your norm.
It becomes your norm. So let's talk about real quick. Either one of you want to answer that before I move? You guys good? How do I break this soul tie? Once I know I have a soul tie, how do I break it? So I found some information to break soul ties that I'm going to share with you. Number one, if you are in a physically or emotionally and or spiritually, listen, did you catch that? Let me throw it again. Physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Abusive relationship, but you feel so attached to them that you refuse to cut off the connection and set boundaries with them, you're in a soul tie. So that's the first to recognize. Number two, you have left a relationship maybe long ago, but you think about the other person obsessively. You can't get them out your mind. That's another form, because before you can break them, you have to recognize a soul tie exists. So sit down and think to yourself, do I fit any of this? Whenever you do anything, you make a decision, you have a conversation with somebody, anything like that, you feel like this person is watching you. That's pretty scary, actually.
It is.
I don't know about that. You take on the negative traits of the person that your soul is tied to, and you carry the offenses, whether you are not, or whether or not you actually agree with them. So basically, if someone else is doing something now, you're doing it, or, oh, I got a perfect one. People love saying, if my friend got a problem with you, I got a problem with you.
I hate that.
Man, you got a whole soul tie. Because I mean, I might not be your best friend if my friend is not friends with you, but I don't have a problem with you. I'm not going to actively harm you or anything like that because it has nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
That's also called being grown. Next, you defend your right to stay in a relationship with the person that your soul is tied to, even though it's negatively affecting or even destroying the important relationships in your life. So maybe your husband, your wife, your kids, your leaders, etc. So you're saying, you know what, this is my friend, I'm gonna stay her friend or his friend no matter what. That don't make sense. Oh, I might have a couple soul ties. I have to reevaluate. Once again, I told you I have a problem. And next, you have simultaneous experiences or moods as the person your soul is tied to. So like sickness, accidents, addictions, almost operate like a twin. That's pretty. All of this is kind of like creepy a little bit.
It is.
You know, like when somebody gets sick, you gonna get sick too.
That's crazy.
Somebody ever tried to say, oh girl, I crashed my car too.
So that
Right,
that's
like-
basically saying they want to be you.
Right.
Right, I'm like, this is
Like a
single
clone
black
of-
female.
Right.
I don't know about this. So if you want to break the soul tie, the first thing you have to do is recognize that there is a soul tie. If you have any of what I've given you, any of those fit you, you have a soul tie. You have got to start literally detaching yourself. Detaching is about detox first. So recognize, it's almost like AA. Admit, so recognize, admit it, face it, and then start detoxing. You gotta deal with it. That was a good one too. Deal with it and start to heal properly. So that might like take little steps, because I know it's really hard for someone to tell you to just let someone that you've literally been friends with all of your life, just push them out. You may have to start doing like certain things, like not going anywhere with them. Stop responding to their texts. Stop responding to their phone calls. Things of that nature. Maybe one of my friends got a soul tie with me.
And it's not gonna
Sorry,
happen
Debbie.
over a week time. You're like, oh, I'm good, and you say it's all good for a week. That's not detoxing yourself.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some time.
Yeah, it takes time.
It definitely does. Soul ties are so very important to understand. Like we said, it's not all bad. Sometimes it can be beneficial. If you're in a marriage or a committed relationship and you have a soul tie, that's something that's being more beneficial. But you have got to make sure that your soul ties are equally. Because if you have one that has benefits and the other one that doesn't, it's gonna make for a very dangerous situation. Ladies, you need to add anything before we get ready to wrap this show up?
No.
All right, guys, it's time for your affirmations. Danny, we'll start with you.
Okay. You are brave. You are abundant.
Oh, I love that. Right.
You are beautiful. You are marvelous.
You are amazing. You are intelligent. And I'm gonna say on that note, I'm gonna try to ad-lib this because I usually have this written. I'm gonna say, or actually, you know what? I'm gonna do something different today. I'm gonna say for once, I love that part. For once, be selfish. Because I think women are just not selfish enough. Say no, don't have regrets, don't live in the mirror complaining about yourself. You are yours, baby, it's whatever.
And I know she a down ass chick, boy. And I know she a down ass chick, boy. And I know this girl that I like she likes me, but she don't want me, but I really want she. I a lot of times be the man she wanna see, but she looks right past the present because of me. But if she needs all of the things I will to be, why is she?